Hey, welcome everybody. Dr. Legrand here, and today we're going to be talking about the best supplements that you need to be taking for your mental health. And so we're going to dive into really in depth as far as what I've used for my patients and clients, and also for myself because I have ADHD, and these are things that I have found very beneficial. So, and then at the end, we will also do Q&A questions if you have any questions about that. So we're going to switch over to the whiteboard real quick here. And the very first supplement specifically that I really use is we're going to talk about anxiety. So anxiety is very common. In fact, 50+% of people with ADHD do have anxiety, which is pretty shocking, but really not, because it does cause us a lot of stress when we have ADHD. And the big one that I like using is a combination is called Tension Ease by Vital Nutrients. And I want to break down in what is in each one of these, particularly because there's a combination of different things that are in Tension Ease of why I like using it. I'm going to explain the science behind it, what's going on in the brain. So the very first thing here, just to kind of show you, is looking at is passion flower extract. Okay, so passion flower extract is really great for helping, they've seen that shown reducing anxiety and stress. But more importantly, scrolling down here a little bit more, is we look at passion flower, what it's doing is it is helping improving levels of GABA. So what you could see is it's improving levels of GABA right here, which GABA is a neurotransmitter that helps do with helping regulating our mood, especially when it comes to stress and anxiety. And so if these levels are too high or too low, it can cause problems with having more stress and anxiety, but ultimately it could also even impact our focus, which that becomes a problem. And certainly you don't want to be having that issue. And passion flower has been proven to help increase these levels, or also help stabilize them. Okay. The next one on Tension Ease is lemon balm right here. Now, lemon balm is also used, that has been proven. It is in the mint family, and it is proven to help with also stress and anxiety. They've seen studies where it has reduced this even when you put it in your food. So that's another thing you could do, because it can definitely be something to use as a spice in your food, but certainly something you find in a lot of different supplement blends, just like this one. The other ones that are also in here that you can see is also valerian root extract, withania, which is also another word for just basically ashwagandha, California poppy herb extract, as well as L-theanine and chamomile. So all of these really do help with anxiety. But more importantly, what is going on with these? So valerian root, ashwagandha, both of those specifically are considered an anxiolytic type of herb. And what is an anxiolytic? I think that's how you spell it, but you get the idea. So anxiolytic, meaning it does really attack the properties of when it comes to anxiety. And they have seen that for both valerian root and also ashwagandha. The next one that I find so common, that I use this time and time again, is L-theanine. L-theanine is extract from green tea, but it's such a powerful effect. And the reason why I find this very powerful, if we think about all the different types of neurotransmitters, okay, a lot of you probably know about dopamine and serotonin, okay? With people with ADHD, typically it's going to be, dopamine, but not always the case. Sometimes it could be serotonin. Usually serotonin levels will be low for depression, right? So these levels will be depleted, but it also could be low with people with ADHD, right? The other thing is also, we've already talked about, is GABA, that being an issue, being low or too high. But other big ones is norepinephrine and epinephrine. Now, the reason why I like L-theanine for this is because L-theanine specifically helps balance dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine, and serotonin. So serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine, and also GABA. It can either help it if those levels are too low, it will help increase those levels. If they're too high, it will bring them down. That's what's so wonderful about L-theanine, and can make such an impact on your mental health. So if you're considering about taking L-theanine, you should definitely take it. But definitely check with your doctor first. But that is definitely one that I recommend almost every time. Not every single time, but a lot of the cases, especially when I'm running these tests, when I'm running dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, epinephrine levels, all these different types of neurotransmitters, typically I am recommending L-theanine. Now, moving on to more of the ADHD type of supplements, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of what we call as nootropics. And when it comes to ADHD, it's more complex than just, oh, here, take this. And we have to talk about the specific neurotransmitters that can impact ADHD. So let's talk about that for a minute here. So the big ones here that we have to talk about is, yes, dopamine is a big culprit. We always like to talk about dopamine when it comes to ADHD because dopamine is what helps us become more motivated, also can impact for focus and memory. And typically people think dopamine and norepinephrine are low with people with ADHD. And that's why the prescription medications such as like Adderall and Ritalin, any of those stimulant medications do target dopamine and norepinephrine to increase those levels. But it's not always the case. Sometimes the case can be phenethylamine can be also low. Also, tyrosine can be low, or epinephrine can be low, right? Or serotonin, like I mentioned before. Now, I see this a lot, is PEA levels being low. And it's very common with people with ADHD. And what do you do about that? Well, the thing that you should be supplementing is something like phenylalanine. So D-L-phenylalanine, you can get it. It's an amino acid that helps build PEA levels, but more importantly, is building the dopamine, okay, if that is low, or building the norepinephrine or epinephrine, okay? Those are also important. On top of that, tyrosine levels can also be low, okay? So tyrosine levels could be low. So you can supplement L-tyrosine or N-acetyltyrosine, which can then ultimately help with building dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine, right? So you see how this could be missed? So because a lot of medications are used to just target just dopamine and norepinephrine only, what if your tyrosine levels are low? What if PA levels are low? What if epinephrine levels are low? You know, ultimately, yeah, you know, the medication can help, but it also can make it worse, especially if your levels are too high. So if dopamine levels are too high or norepinephrine are too high, and you're taking that medication, it will make you feel more agitated, stressed, anxious, all the above, okay? So when we're looking at this, there's other things that we also have to consider. You know, when it comes to taking phenylalanine and L-tyrosine, those are really important to take, but there's also cofactors here that help the process. And you can see right here, different B vitamins. And these are complex B vitamins. They are activated form, and they help the process from breaking it down from phenylalanine to tyrosine to L-dopa to dopamine. You see that? So it goes down this process, and you see that all these B vitamins, also vitamin C, copper, SAMe is also another really good one that can help with these processes. Now, to really know specifically, how do you know which ones are out of balance? How do you know what to really implement specifically to be taking for yourself individually? Well, it really does require testing. You do have to run these specific tests to really know specifically, so you could even get greater results versus just trying this, trying this, trying this. Then you don't know what is working and what is not working. And that is critical. So if you're really having trouble with focus, being productive, and you really need to know what tests to run, well, good thing for you, I do have a free guide in the description below that tells you what labs you should be running if you do have focus issues, productivity issues, ADHD, any area of that. It goes over the labs that you should be running. It also goes over what foods you should be implementing, what foods you should avoid, and other supplements that can help with your focus and productivity. Like I said, that is in the description below, so you can check that out. And then until next time, this is Dr. Legrand signing out, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.